Then there is The Social Network, which, that intrigued me when I saw the trailer. Most people weren't interested in it just from seeing the trailer. But I knew Facebook was important, and I knew that the filmmakers would probably try to make it as historical as possible. But, what did you think about Facebook? Or The Social Network?
I'm like most people, whenever I saw the trailer and I heard that they were making a movie about Facebook, I was all like, what? But then, and then it started getting all this buzz and all these great reviews. And then upon watching the film, I really was impressed by the acting for one thing. Jesse Eisenberg and Andrew Garfield just really owned their roles. The other thing is that the script was just exceptionally well made.
Yeah, it was really polished, and it was really nice to see young people that acted, well, for the most part, intelligent, even though it didn't care about some of their lifestyle. It was nice to see, just getting away from a bunch of teenagers and 20-something-year-olds acting like idiots in films, which is what they usually do. And grant you, that might be a reflection of real life, and their taste of lifestyle demonstrated in the movie wasn't all that great either. But again, it was just nice to see that they were having to deal with serious issues and they were acting serious as they had to relate to their serious problems.
Yeah, and I think that not only was the script just absolutely fantastic, I mean, some of Jesse Eisenberg's quips where he has these snappy, quick comebacks. Right. Yeah. And he's very smart. Basically makes him sound very smart.
Yes.
And it makes you want to be a very smart person. But in the end, all his intellect and all his great ideas, in the broad scheme of things, he was just a big jerk, is what it basically communicated.
Yes. Yeah. Ultimately, it's open-ended at the end of The Social Network. And then we have Toy Story 3. Which, I'm partial to. I love Toy Story 1, 2, and 3, and all Pixar movies, basically. But what did you think of Toy Story 3?
Obviously I loved it because it's a Pixar film, but not just because it's a Pixar film. I think it was almost, it was a very, I guess, appropriate ending to the trilogy.
Yeah, see, we are Pixar fans, and we're not just fanboys and saying it's great for the fact that, we just love Pixar and the Toy Story film, but really it was a great picture, and it's very good of the Oscars to recognize it for getting a nomination. The only, the second picture, animated picture of all time to get a nomination for Best Picture at the Oscars, right? So that's
Beauty and the Beast being the first. I thought it was the weakest of the three myself, and that's probably because the first half is kind of slow moving and very dialogue heavy. But I think they did end it well and appropriately. It kind of annoyed me that they got rid of a bunch of characters like Bo Peep and didn't really give any backstory or explanation for that. But it was really a necessary step because they introduced so many new characters.
Yeah. And then we have True Grit.
Yes, True Grit.
And, it was just phenomenal. It's very refreshing to see a Western that is a little bit more akin to classic Westerns. Most Westerns these days are well too influenced by postmodernism. And the Coen brothers did a masterful job of just seeming to really flesh out a Christian worldview and a Christian character in Maddie Ross, who was just amazing, resolute in everything that she wanted to do. Is great storytelling, great interaction, dialogue, and Cogburn, he has his scruples, his alcoholism and everything, but even he and all the characters recognized absolutes like what is good and what is right, right and wrong, evil, justice, that murder is wrong. The outlaws were atypical for movies these days, where usually they're glorified in their own right for having their own viewpoint. But in this picture, it shows outlaws at the end of the rope, and the fact of the matter is that their lifestyle leads to the destruction. And that was cool because that's a little bit more, again, appropriate that the film would start with a verse from the book of Proverbs. And that just, everything seemed to be consistent with the biblical absolutes, where God says will happen, if you do X, Y, and Z, if you're a foolish man.
And the music throughout is basically the theme of Leaning on the Everlasting Arms, the hymn. So yeah, that definitely.
But again, it's not just the fact that it had a Christian worldview message that makes us like it. The fact is, it was just a great story, and the Coen brothers did a fantastic job with it. And I never saw the John Wayne film, but could you say?
In my opinion, the Coen brothers improved on it. In my opinion, the new one is vastly superior to the old one. I'm not a huge John Wayne fan, but the only criticism that I've really heard about the new True Grit is that at the end, when basically it flashes forward in time and you see Maddie as an adult, and it's very disconjointed, and they bring up a traitor and all this stuff that has really no context. So I'm assuming that what they're talking about is actually in the book, but.
Yeah, it didn't feel like it belonged in the rest of the film, so yeah, agreed. And then last, there was Winter's Bone, and didn't see that one either, so what can you tell us about Winter's Bone?
Winter's Bone, to me, it was very meh.
Well,
I assumed that because it has an Oscar nod, that it would either have a huge political statement or there would be something unique about it. But to me, it was a good, a well-made film that I just really couldn't get excited about. I mean, the acting was solid, the script was decent, the music was appropriate, but to me, it was just another film. There wasn't anything special about it.
That's interesting. Yeah. Well, see, now that wraps up all that we really have time for to overview the films and say what we'd like to say about them. We gotta jump right into the next part where we rate those films that we enjoyed most. Our top three, Stewart's top three and my top three. But first, we want to thank today's sponsor, the American Vision. Shop at AmericanVision.com to get the message behind the movie. This insightful book teaches you to effectively use movies in your worldview discussions with your family and friends from a Christian perspective. If you want to improve your understanding of worldview in motion pictures, read the message behind the movie. Available at AmericanVision.com. And at checkout, enter the promo code Hollywood to get 10% off of your purchase.
Let's score our top films of 2010 on the Echelon, Movieology's 5-star rating scale. I will go ahead and go first with my predictions for the winner of the Best Picture Oscar, and I'm going to go with The King's Speech. It's been the front runner for a while. I think the Academy will vote in favor of a Holocaust film, and that's basically my prediction for the winner.
While you're at it, I'll probably just say right now, I agree totally. I think the King's Speech will probably be the winner.
It's not very original.
Sorry, I totally agree.
Okay, that's all right. You can agree with me. You can agree with me. All right, moving on to my top 3 films of 2010, starting with number 3. And I think it's going to go to The King's Speech, and I will give it 4.5 stars. It doesn't receive a perfect rating just because of some of the issues contained in the film. But yeah, number 3 will be The King's Speech, and number 2 will be True Grit. 4.5 stars for that. I love True Grit, and when I was in the theater, what I kept thinking in my mind was, this might be better than Inception. But alas, it is not. So Inception is my number 1 film, my pick for 2010. I give it 4.5 stars as well, and that's all I'm going to say about that.
Okay, interesting. Okay, well now, we do have a difference of opinion, and that's why we have the 2 of us on this show and not 2 people that completely are the same. I do agree with you about The King's Speech that it'll probably win the Best Picture Oscar. But my top 3 are different. So number 3, I would say, is The King's Speech. I don't think it deserves to be the best. But I'm okay with that it's probably going to win. And we've already hashed out The King's Speech, and we wish we could say more, but we got to move on. Because I'd like to tell you that really, I love Toy Story 3. And I would say that that's the one I think that deserved, or will deserve, the Best Picture Academy.
I think it'll definitely win Best Animated.
Yeah, probably will, but that's Pixar's got plenty of those, I'm sure. So then there was my number 1 is got to be True Grit, hands down. Just a phenomenal film. Love the message, the worldview, the acting, the storytelling, great cinematography. The Coen brothers nailed this one, much better than No Country for Old Men, in my opinion. Sorry, I'm not a big fan of just everything Coen brothers. But then, yeah, so my star rating. So for The King's Speech, I say it was 4 stars. And then for Toy Story 3, 4.5. And again, with True Grit, 4.5. Again, I didn't care for the ending, so I can't say it's 5 stars either, because I thought the picture didn't really need the ending that it had. But the rest of the film was so great. The very ending aside, you know, I really think that the rest of the film made up for its terrible ending.
But not as good as Inception.
It is 10 times better than Inception in my dreams. So, well, that's it for today's show. Thank you for watching, and you can again find us at movieology.tv if you would like to leave a question, or you know, you can write us at info@movieology.tv, and you can also comment right at the bottom of this video. Anywhere that it is located, we'd love to get your comments and feedback. We will probably discuss them in future shows, what you have to say to us.
And please like us on Facebook, facebook.com/movieology, and follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/movieologytv.
Thanks for watching.
Likely road to the world light welterweight. World light welterweight.
So we're overtime. That's it for today. What was my number 3? It was, yeah, it was The King's Speech.
Rocky like. Hey, gummit. Good interjection.
I thought we were the same.
Yeah. We're not going there.
Just like does not make me want to see it. Unflinching, hack.